Known as the Irish Hills, beautiful landscape and picturesque farms sit along the highways of central Michigan. It's quaint and quiet now, but not for long. You don't have to be Irish to appreciate it, but you do need some of their luck to survive. Timothy Peters opens a new chapter in his racing career while Kyle Busch tries to add a page to his winning story. Todd Bodine was in victory lane last week, winning the battle, but it's Matt Crafton who is currently winning the Truck Series war. Located about 80 miles from downtown Detroit, the little town of Brooklyn, Michigan is the real motor city today. Michigan International Speedway prepares to host the Flatbeds, who always motor flat out. It's the Camping World Truck Series on speed. This is your setup. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the setup. I'm Krista Voda. We are standing in Sports Central. Last night, the Detroit area was blanketed by hockey fever. Of course, the Penguins took the Stanley Cup. Now we focus on the other game in town, that being NASCAR. The Truck Series is sharing this track with the Sprint Cup Series this weekend, and that means a lot of eyes are watching our truck boys. So what exactly are they watching? Let's get you caught up with our news. We have another first-time pole sitter, Brian Eichler, scoring his first career pole today. He will lead the field to green in just his fifth Cup start, truck start. Pretty impressive. Meanwhile, Johnny Benson, our defending series champ, no longer in the field. Red Horse Racing letting Johnny go due to sponsorship trouble. But when one door closes, another opens. Timothy Peters is now with the Red Horse Racing organization. He is driving the number 17. That truck will take over the number 1 owner points. Truck Series crew chief Timothy Peters, his crew chief Chad Kendrick, and his sponsor making the move. Meanwhile, in our tough economic times, belts are tightening. The Sports Business Journal first documenting that manufacturer General Motors and Chevrolet will be eliminating their support of both the Nationwide and Truck Series. Now, Truck Series owners Kevin and Delana Harvick, they declined our interview for a request, but Kevin Harvick, a Truck Series owner, did make this statement. He did confirm that manufacturer support is lost at KHI, although this will require some internal restructuring. He says our commitment to our sponsors to provide the best possible product on the racetrack will not change. Now, Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip will give us the specifics and the details of the story coming up in just a bit. Right now, let's turn back to the racing. The last time we were out on a track, it was in Texas. That race gave us a record-setting number of wins for one driver and a new points leader. Here's a look back at our race in Texas.
Green flag in the air. We're underway. Still a great battle up front here. Johnny Sauter just in front of Ron Hornaday.
Like Brian Scott, he may have a tire issue.
He'd been on the radio the last 2 laps saying he was really abusing that right front tire.
This is all about racing when it comes to Texas Motor
That's right. That's all about high-speed racing here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Rick Crawford feeling awfully racing.
Rick Crawford, who's out in front of this field.
So Ron Hornaday is the lead truck.
Hornaday turns the wick up one more time.
What's going on with Hornaday? He's slow coming to the pits.
He's on the apron, Ray, coming towards pit road. Adam?
No oil pressure on the radio, so obviously it's a problem under the hood for Ron Hornaday. Disaster for the 33. This the second week in a row.
Todd Bodine has got it wound up, and he is on the charge. Todd Bodine still under control.
Breaking the bad luck streak that they've had in the 2009 season, Todd Bodine will win at Texas again. 5 times for Bodine.
And Todd Bodine has run 4 races here at Michigan International Speedway, 4 top 10s. So what's the forecast today for the Copart Toyota?
Well, we've got a really good Tundra. Copart Tundra was really good on old tires. We've actually qualified a lot better than we thought we were going to. We figured we'd be about 8th or 10th, so to be 3rd was really good. That means it's fast. We didn't do any qualifying stuff yesterday, so we just worked on the race. We've got a really good balance on the old tires, and typical Michigan. Today's going to be a little different, though, because it's overcast. But yesterday in the sun, typical Michigan on the old tires really got slick. You got sliding around. The tires weren't gripping, and the truck had a really good balance. And that's what you got to shoot for on those old tires. But, today's a little different. I think the track's going to have a lot of grip. It's going to be a great race.
All right, go get him. Todd Bodine is currently 4th in points, and we've got a new guy that's at the front of the pack.
slowly sneaking in on that 51.
Come on, get by this youngster.
The longer the run continues, the better the 88 will be.
Hornaday and Crafton going at it. Ron Hornaday and Matt Crafton, who have raced so long ago back up in Bakersfield, now they bring the fight to Fontana.
Matt Crafton checking out now.
And it is a good news, bad news situation for Matt Crafton, the new point leader. A birthday this week and your best ever starting spot at Michigan on the outside of the front row. But this is not a track that's been good to you over the years, so how do you make it a good day today?
Just lead as many laps as we can. Lead the last one is going to make it a real good racetrack for me. We haven't had good finishes here. I mean, I was looking at that the other day. Somebody told me about that, and I looked, and I was like, yep, this hasn't been one of the best places. But our Menard Chevy Silverado, ideal door Chevy, I think it's going to be real good. I mean, practice thing was unreal. So hopefully this weather will hold out and at least let us get to halfway. Hopefully we get all of it in, but it's going to be tough.
One top 10, only 2 laps led, but Crafton in a good spot to start this afternoon. Krista?
All right, thanks, Adam. Matt Crafton is now the big cheese. Taking a look at our Truck Series point standings, he and Todd Bodine each move up 2 positions this week. David Starr and Rick Crawford each climb 3 rungs. Terry Cook drops 2, while Mike Skinner and Ron Hornaday each fall 1 position. And this is a very tough list for Hornaday to take, especially after the last 2 weeks he has had.
Oh, point leader. Wall, and it's Ron Hornaday. Looks as though he might have had a right front problem coming in. He had an 84-point lead.
That's going to be difficult to fix that truck as hard as it hit the wall. That's bad.
You talk about going from bad to worse. They got trapped when they pitted under green and then had the penalty on pit road. And now he just has no oil pressure on the radio. Disaster for the 33. This the 2nd week in a row.
Well, let's find out how Ron Hornaday is going to be today. You've never won on a 2-mile track. Are you going to get there today?
I appreciate you bringing that up, but first of all, my thoughts and prayers go out to my mother-in-law. She's in the hospital right now, and Lindy's going nuts. We got to get her home pretty soon, so hopefully we can get this race off, and really appreciate what Turtle Wax is doing. Come aboard and got that turtle on the side, and yeah, we've got a good truck. It's the best truck I've had here, so we'll see.
Okay, have a good day. That's Ron Hornaday in the Turtle Wax Chevrolet.
All right, thanks, Ray. A win is always big, but when you're racing in the car company's backyard, a win is monumental. And why should you watch this race? Because in the last 3 years, the driver who has led the most laps has not led the last lap. We've got a lot more insight and interviews with guys like that coming up, so stick around. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series setup is brought to you by Camping World. Visit campingworld.com for the largest selection and best values on fifth-wheel travel trailers.
Darnell, Johnny Benson, side by side. This is the race for the lead and the win in Michigan. Johnny Benson trying to get it. He's there, but Darnell is with him. That is a photo finish. They were almost identical. The scoring says that Darnell won it, but if he did, it was by a quarter of an inch. They're going to have to go to the camera.
You win or what? Good job, buddy. You won.
NASCAR has confirmed that Eric Darnell has won the Cool City Customs 200.
And since the sport started using electronic scoring, that is the closest Truck Series finish, and it happened right here in Michigan. Welcome back to the setup live from Michigan International Speedway. Now, what do Richard Petty and Johnny Sauter have in common with country music star Rodney Atkins and former President Ronald Reagan? Well, you are about to find out. The answer, Curb Records. Johnny Sauter and Rodney Atkins give us an inside look.
Pretty cool truck here.
Thanks, buddy. I imagine you think it's pretty cool. You got your name all over it, so.
Yeah, never had my name on a truck before. The record label that I'm on is owned by Mike Curb, and Mike's been involved in racing, I guess, almost as long as he's been involved in music.
Mike Curb's obviously, like you said, been in motorsports for a long time, and he's had a lot of impact on a lot of drivers' careers. Guys like Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty, so he's been a pretty influential guy in the racing world.
Checkered flag for car number 43, Richard Petty.
You got Mike Curb, Richard Petty, and Ronald Reagan.
Mike was a part of that, was a team owner of that car.
Mr. President, it's great to have you here. A member of your staff intimated to me yesterday that although you are interested in the fortunes of all race drivers, you might be excited to see this occasion, Richard Petty winning his 200th. That's quite a day.
Well, it certainly is. I understand that no one in the whole history of racing has ever done that, or ever won 200 races.
Checkered flag for the 28-year-old Earnhardt out of Kannapolis, North Carolina.
This is the car that Dale Earnhardt won the championship with.
To win the Rookie of the Year last year and to come in and start this season with such tremendous success is impressive. It must confirm all the fears that the established drivers had last year when they saw him, because at that time they thought this one is going to be a good one.
I've only been fortunate enough to win 3 nationwide races, and I was able to win at my home track in Milwaukee and Chicagoland and stuff, but Richmond was probably the ultimate highlight.
Sauter drives deep, looking for the win at Richmond. Gives him plenty of racing room. Now he makes contact. Sauter gets into the back of Van Kenseth. Johnny Sauter's going to win the Funai 250.
This is actually the very first car I ever drove for my curb right here. This is the hood I'm talking about with Tim McGraw with a hairy chest hanging out. Obviously, you can understand why people were giving me a hard time.
Look at this Viper, holy mackerel.
This was actually Leanne Rimes' first car, I guess.
Her first car was a Viper?
Yeah, her first car was a Viper. And I see, obviously her stand-up back here, so.
Oh, I'm on the wall in here.
Yeah, there he is right there.
Very cool.
And Johnny Sauter has posted 3 top 10 finishes in his last 4 races. Tell us about Michigan today. Is this going to be the day you get your first win?
I sure hope so. Just talking to Hornaday, we were both talking about it and said, you know, this is probably our worst track. So just fun saying Kurt Record Chevrolet was really good in practice yesterday. We never got to make a rock run, so today we didn't really know what to do and got a little bit too tight. But nonetheless, we're starting in the top 10, same truck we had last week, pretty confident. So keep it all together, hope the rain stays away, and see if we can't win this thing.
All right, go get them. That's the Fun Sand Chevrolet, and Johnny Sauter will start 6th.
And Colin Brown starts 12th in today's race. 4 of 9 events here in the Truck Series have seen Roush Fenway trucks go to victory lane. Any added pressure for you this afternoon, Colin?
Well, you know, obviously driving for Roush Fenway here at Michigan, this is pretty much their home track, and obviously Ford's home track, Conway Freight's home track. So I think there's a little bit of added pressure just to perform, but you know, I know my guys have been doing a great job back at the shop. This is a truck we ran at Charlotte, so we got it fixed up, got it ready to come here. They did a great job getting it ready to come here. We've got Conway Freight's got a new initiative that they're launching, which is this True LTL program, which is basically a price cap on large freight in the LTL market. So we're excited about that. You can check more, learn more about that at conwayfreight.com/LTL. So we're excited to have that on board. And obviously, the pressure to win this race. We got a lot going for us this weekend.
And he's coming off a season best last week at Texas. Krista.
All right, thanks, Adam. Some of the Conway folks actually just walked by on their way to the truck and said hello, so thank you very much for that. Colin obviously racing, as you heard Adam say, for a milestone, but it's not milestones as much as headlines that are really making news and have people talking. Let's head upstairs where Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip are standing by. So, Rick, let's get everyone's take on our big stories.
Well, yeah, you mentioned earlier in that first segment the fact that GM has pulled out their sponsorship and their assistance to these teams. Michael, being a team owner, can you explain what the extent of manufacturer support is?
Well, if you're a championship caliber team, Rick, you're liable to get money, parts and pieces, vehicles, passenger vehicles to drive, supporting your team, and more, maybe most importantly, technical support, engineering support that these teams lean on heavily. All that's going to go away. It's definitely going to change the way these guys come to the racetrack, Phil.
Yeah, they're not going to have as many tools in their toolbox as they did before, but I was around back in the early 70s when all manufacturer support was withdrawn, and I think probably back then, percentage-wise, it was more of their total budget than it is today.
I think so, too.
We survived then and prospered, and I think we will survive this as well.
Yeah, and the other story, obviously, sponsorship going away for Johnny Benson. So Johnny Benson loses his ride here in Michigan, and he was in the top 10 in points.
Oh, and a champion. I mean, that's amazing that we're going through these tough times. But, that's what I love about my sport. People are passionate about NASCAR racing. There's bumps in the roads, but these teams, these fans are all going to hang around, and they're going to see a race here today that are going to make them happy that they did so. Our sport will go forward. We will get through this. It's trying times for everyone, not just race car drivers, but everyone, and you have to just deal with it.
Yeah, and Johnny is such a great competitor, a great champion for our series, and I don't think it's going to be long till we see Johnny back in this garage area. are back on the racetrack. And getting back a little bit to the manufacturer support, you know, it may be a blessing in disguise, because right now the difference between the haves and the have-nots is pretty great. Well, that may bring the competition even closer if you don't have the tremendous manufacturer support for some of the top teams. And the little guys now may be able to compete as better than they did before.
Close that gap just a little bit between, as you mentioned, the haves and have-nots. Krista?
All right, great stuff, guys. Yeah, when we want to hear from owners and drivers, we just head up to our booth because we have them right up there. Thanks a lot. So what's going on down here on pit road right now? Well, Kyle Busch has walked towards his truck, stopped to talk to Jason White, and Ron Hornady's team is carrying the giant inflatable turtle for turtle wax. There's Kyle Busch walking along to his truck. Busy day. He's going to do the truck race and then try to hightail it to Kentucky for the nationwide event. Well, we still have plenty of stuff to tell you about here in the setup, but before we do, let's bring you one step closer to another one of our drivers. Here's some things about Chad McCumbee you will not find on Twitter.
Finishing second at Charlotte last year and battling with Matt for the win there was pretty special. One of the very first people in the truck garage that came to help me was probably Todd Bodine. He was the first guy that really came to me that offered advice and not asking. Nissan Frontier, a crew cab, and that was my first high school vehicle. Probably contractor. My dad builds homes back at the beach, and that's what I did growing up and going through school. Just all the normal ones, you know. The peanut thing was really bad for a really long time when I was running late models and stuff, because I'm a big fan of boiled peanuts, but anytime we ate them at the racetrack there when we were on late models, we never seemed to run very good. So every once in a while we'd find a lucky penny and glue it in the car, but it only seemed like it was good for like a race, and if you left it in there too long, it stopped working. So.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series setup is brought to you by Herculiner Truck Bed Liners, where the tough comes easy. The Michigan International Speedway is going green. The track plans to plant tons of trees around their racetrack, sort of a camping theme for the Camping World Truck Series. Welcome back to the setup. You know, Richie Waters, crew chief, had just stopped by and said how good of a truck they have. Well, that's the crew chief. Let's hear what the driver has to say. Adam Alexander is standing by with our pole sitter.
His fifth start, Krista, we're talking about Brian Eichler and his first pole, but no one remembers poles, they remember wins. So what's it going to take to go to victory lane today?
You know, I don't know. This thing's been, Samsung Instinct Toyota Tundra's been good all weekend. We're starting up front where, you know, clean air means so much on these trucks. So we're pretty optimistic, pretty excited, and hopefully we can get a good race in.
Brian Eichler on the pole this afternoon.
And let's go ahead and head trackside for today's opening ceremonies for today's Truck Series event.
Race fans, at this time, would you please rise and remove your caps for the playing of the Canadian National Anthem by Michigan Representative Joel Sheltron. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting our nation's colors, paratroopers from the Michigan Army National Guard. And here to deliver today's invocation, Father Jeff Rose of Lumen Christi High School in Jackson, Michigan.
Almighty God, we thank you for this day. We ask your continued blessings upon it. We humbly ask that you hold off on the rain so that we may enjoy this race. Keep our drivers and crews safe. And we ask this all through Christ our Lord. Amen.
And now with the playing of our national anthem, once again, Joel Sheltron. Mr. Joel Sheltron, ladies and gentlemen, and a flyover that B-25.
2 weeks ago, it was a first-time truck winner. Today, it's a first-time truck pole sitter. Will one of them be in victory lane? You will find out as we go racing next.
4, 3, 2, 1, go!
The Advanced Auto Parts Advanced Look. The summer stretch is heating up as the Truck Series moves to Milwaukee next week. The points lead is up for grabs every week, with the top 5 separated by less than 150 points. See who will take the lead next week at the Milwaukee Mile. Tune in for the setup at 8:30, followed by all the short track Truck Series action. Live on Speed. Be there.
You're either in Detroit, Rock City, or the Bluegrass this weekend. The Nationwide Series racing in Kentucky tonight, the Cup Series here in Michigan tomorrow. And you saw we head to Milwaukee next week. It's our 3M summer stretch. Michigan is Motown and Motors. We are about to fly. The Michigan 200 starts now.
The path has been paved with scores of circumstances.
My guess, we're going to see fireworks here very shortly when they turn them loose.
Sluggish starts.
Falling like a rock from the front row, he's just trying to hang on to stay in the top 10.
And dramatic finishes.
The Onion made them all cry here tonight at Daytona.
Rookie mistakes.
James Busher got turned. Big crash.
Ricky Carmichael just went flying sideways.
A first-time winner.
Mr. Scott, you just won Dover Motor Speedway, buddy. That a bullet.
Vicious hits.
Skinner gets hit hard down into turn 1.
I'm okay. Glad you're talking, buddy.
And consistent drivers.
This is the house that Bush and Ballou have built.
The next chapter opens up at Michigan.
Here's a driver you would believe can vie for the championship this season.
Welcome to Race 9.
And welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Michigan 200 on Speed, the Irish Hills of Michigan in the Brooklyn, Michigan area. Let's get the engines fired up. We go trackside for our command.
Race fans, would you please re-welcome your Grand Marshal, MIS season ticket holder Marvin Alspach, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Tracks are all strapped in. The engines are fired up. They'll be rolling out on the racetrack in just a moment. That means next up is the green flag as we're about to get underway with the 9th race of the 2009 season. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World. Visit campingworld.com for the largest selection and best values on fifth-wheel travel trailers. Brought to you in part by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. And by Royal Purple. Visit royalpurple.com to find a dealer near you. Trucks rolling out onto the racetrack, getting ready for a 2-mile monster of Michigan International Speedway. The weather here, the exact opposite of yesterday when we had final practice. It was sunny and beautiful. Now it's overcast and a big hint of showers in the area. So that could put everyone on the edge of their seat as to racing to potentially the halfway point. The starting grid will roll across the bottom of your screen. Brian Eichler grabs his first career pole. Matt Crafton, our point leader, will start on the outside of row number 1. Take a look at our Z-Max track description of this 2-mile super speedway.
It's just a fun racetrack, Rick. Man, you can race all over it. The back straightaway is a little bit shorter than the front straightaway, so it changes the way you enter both corners. So maybe a guy's good down in 3 and not so good in 1 and 2. It makes it fun.
Speeds upwards of 185 miles an hour entering the corners here.
Our Royal Purple race analysis, 40 to 45 laps, the pit window.
As you talk about the inclement weather possibly in the area, that looms large. We know we have to get to at least 50 laps for this to be a completed race, an official race. So a lot of these guys, crew chiefs, are going to have their eye on the weather.
And most of these guys starting this race never had a dream in the world they would be racing for a purse of somewhere around $600,000, $3,000 when they started, you know, racing go-karts or dirt cars, wherever they come from. Now here we are in the big time, the big leagues of NASCAR racing, and a purse of over $600,000, Rick.
We always like to shine a spotlight on a few different drivers, and recently the spotlight has been on these 4 drivers we're going to spotlight. We'll start with you, right?
Rick, I want to talk about Johnny Sauter because this team has really been on a roll. The Fun Sand Chevrolet posting 3 finishes in the last 4 races of top 10. And this guy is really happy with the way that the crew has come together. Johnny Sauter told me he feels like he and Jason Overstreet are finally on the same page. And Thor Sport Racing has really been running here at the front. But how about Johnny Sauter's news this week? He let us know that he and his wife Courtney are expecting their first baby January 4th. Adam?
Chad McCumbee has been one of the great surprises in the early part of 2009, Ray. 4 straight finishes inside the top 15 have him 8th in series standings. Now, he qualified 15th today, but due to some changes on the impound, he will have to drop to the rear of the field. Watch the 07 trying to rally to the front this afternoon. Phil?
Adam, I want to take a look at that number 24 truck of David Starr. He moved over to HT Motorsports this year, working with Jason Miller, his crew chief. 3 top 10 finishes in the last 3 races has propelled David from 15th to 6th in the points. David became a first-time father this year. David Starr Jr. was born to he and his wife Kim earlier this year, and Zachary's on board with this truck as an associate, a main primary sponsor in a number of races. But look for David Starr to improve on that position. He's 6th in points. He finished 4th in 2006. He wants to do better. Mikey.
Let's look at my old buddy Jason White there in the gunbroker.com Dodge. Man, he's been on a roll, Phil. The last 4 races, top 15 finishes. It's propelled him from 26th to 16th in the points. Jason just recently turned 30 years old, went bowling with him. Pretty doggone good bowler, too.
We ride along with a few different drivers today here at Michigan International Speedway. The first one being the 5 of Mike Skinner. He will carry a camera with him to show us the perspective of what it's like to ride along with Mike Skinner. Next one that will have a camera with us is the Ford onboard. Colin Brown will be driving that number 6 once again, and we talk about how good Roush Fenway Racing is at this racetrack. Terry Cook will also have a camera in his number 25 Toyota Tundra. We'll see how well he does today as he looks to improve on his last week's finish. Kyle Busch back in the field, and the number 51 will ride along with him, see if he can make it up toward the front. He'll start 4th here today. Matt Crafton, also carrying one of our cameras, starts on the outside of row number 1 and is our points leader coming in to this Michigan race. Let's head back trackside for thoughts before green and Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, when you talk about Michigan International Speedway, you got to think about Roush Fenway Racing. You were talking about Colin Brown. Well, we think he's going to be a truck to watch today here at Michigan for sure. Why? Well, look at the statistics. Roush Fenway's been very, very good here. 19 career wins in NASCAR's top 3 divisions, and 4 of those have come right here in the Camping World Truck Series. But it's been 1 year since Roush Fenway has been to victory lane. They've been stuck at 49 wins in this series. Can Colin Brown get it done today? We'll be watching. Adam?
And Todd Bodine got off to a great start in 2009, Ray. 3 consecutive finishes in the top 3, but then he hit a skid. 4 straight outside the top 15, but the momentum was back last week. A victory at Texas. He's now the all-time winner there, and he's been pretty good at this 2-mile facility of Michigan as well. 4 runs, 4 top 10 finishes. He would like to win today and do something he did twice in the Nationwide Series, and that is visit Victory Lane, the Onion rolling 3rd this afternoon, guys.
Only one driver in the field today has been to Victory Lane here at Michigan International Speedway, and that is the driver of the number 8, Dennis Setzer.
You got to watch this start. Brian Eichler hadn't never been in this position, Phil. He's down on the inside of Matt Crafton, a veteran. Matt could pinch him down when they get down to turn 1, taking the air off the side of that truck and making it really hard for Eichler to hang on. Eichler gets a good jump, though, and pulls up in front of Crafton.
That settled that. He's not going to have to worry about Matt Crafton pinching him down as they get into turn number 1. But take a look at this. Todd Bodine running on the inside, takes the lead as they come out of 2.
He opened up that bottom for Todd Bodine. Todd's trying to bring Ron Hornaday with him.
Looked like Brian said, you're not going to pinch me down, Matt Crafton. Oh, what's that guy?
Yeah. Look at that.
You've been having to think about somebody besides Matt Crafton?
Now on the outside, here comes Brian Eichler once again. The momentum back up in that number 15 Toyota Tundra.
Look at that truck in the middle, that 51 truck. The Mikasuki Toyota of Kyle Busch.
Kyle's racing a couple of things here, Phil. He's racing the competition, but he also knows he needs to race the weather. If he's going to win this race, it can't start raining here in Michigan.
Look at Johnny Sauter make it 3 wide down on the bottom underneath Mike Skinner.
Sauter makes the pass on Skinner, moves up as they hug that yellow line down at the bottom of the racetrack. It's still Todd Bodine out in front of the field. Brian Eichler running 2nd.
Wow, what a strong run through that corner by Matt Crafton. Drove right up on the back of Ron Hornaday using the high groove. They've got Kyle Busch pinched to the bottom.
A lot of the guys in the garage area said, Michael, that it's really difficult to run on the bottom because it bogs them down so much. You see Ron Hornaday right there on the bottom. You're going to get passed by 2 trucks.
And that was the 51 of Kyle Busch on the bottom of the racetrack that was trying to go by him on the inside, and now can't keep the momentum up as they come through the front stretch, and Ron Hornaday drives right back by.
It looks a lot like Daytona. You get out of line, and ooh, look at Hornaday continue to wiggle as he enters turn number 1.
Man, that 88 truck is strong. He just goes up to the top, drives around the 2nd place truck of Brian Eichler, and has got his eyes set on Todd Bodine.
You know, Rick Wren thought he screwed up in qualifying today. Thought he tightened that truck up a little bit too much. But right now, it doesn't look like that truck's tight at all.
Looks like it's really, really loose right now. And that should get better as we burn the fuel off. Colin Brown made a nice move, made it 3 wide underneath Kyle Busch in the 51 truck.
Makes that pass, so Colin Brown gets by the 51. Now working on fellow Ford driver James Busher in the 10 just in front of him.
What I started to say is the guys in the garage area said it's very difficult to run the bottom and keep the momentum up because of the tapered spacers on these trucks and the fact that they have a little less gear this year than they had last year. They're not turning as many RPMs.
Just as you say that.
Check the battle out for the lead. Eichler to the inside of Bodine.
Brian Eichler moving to the inside. Can he make the pass? Now here comes Todd Bodine with the momentum on the outside.
We're going to get a good look at what the outside does. A little bit of a wiggle there by Brian Eichler on the bottom.
Had to catch it.
Wow, that's a great battle for the lead.
Todd Bodine holds on to it. They're all in line when they cross the start-finish line. Bodine, Eichler, Matt Crafton making a charge back up toward the front. He was 2nd at the start of this race. on the outside of row number 1, and now he's got the momentum going. Here comes Hornaday in the middle. Eichler on the bottom of the racetrack.
We talked about the top and the bottom. We didn't say anything about the middle. Here comes Hornaday right up the middle.
Matt Crafton said he needs to lead a lot of laps and lead the last one. It looks like he wants that lead.
Now he's got a little help behind him. James Busher in the 10 was up behind him.
What a battle these guys are raging.
3 and 4 wide here at Michigan International Speedway.
That's good stuff right there, baby.
The high line continuing to move. Here comes James Busher in that 10.
How about that, Busher? Had a little bit of experience, ran the ARCA Remax race yesterday. Doing a great job here, running right now in a 3rd spot.
What do you think Kyle Busch is thinking? Remember at Dover? They would throw the green. He would just drive right around everybody.
Look at Crafton, dive to the bottom.
Speaking of driving by, here comes Matt Crafton trying to get around that 30 of Todd Bodine.
Man, that's a hard day's work there to get her done on the bottom, Phil. He drives up beside Bodine. I don't know if he can complete it or not, though.
Todd may have the momentum on the outside. Look at
Crafton.
Kyle going to go around the outside of James
Crafton
Busher.
about spun out down on the bottom. They're going to be 4 wide leaving this turn.
Contact. Top, little contact in the middle. 2 Fords trading paint.
Only
now it's
4 wide
when they cross the start-finish line. Matt Crafton checks up, goes back to the high side of the racetrack. Colin Brown stays down near the bottom in that number 6.
And Kyle Busch, everything's starting to look normal again. Kyle's driven back around everybody but one guy, so he's closing in on the lead. He got off to his start, went to the bottom, couldn't make any progress, dropped back to 6th or 8th. He's slowly around the top, worked his way back to the front.
He's found the momentum is toward the wall, so he's been running up a little bit higher. Now we see Skinner ducking down toward the bottom of the racetrack. Eichler staying right in the middle. Matt Crafton up toward the top.
Boy, nice run by Mike Skinner on the bottom.
Into the wall it looked like. The 51 of Kyle Busch. The battle for the lead was going on. Todd Bodine saw Kyle on the high side, and that allowed the 33 of Ron Hornaday to make the move on the bottom.
Did the 30 squeeze the 51 into the wall, maybe a little bit up off 4, and there he goes. Kyle again on the outside.
Trying for the lead. Here we go. 3 wide as they go out on the backstretch. Out in front now, it's Kyle Busch. Here comes Ron Hornaday.
Okay, this is restrictor plate racing, isn't it?
That's what it looks like.
This is what we see at Daytona and Talladega. These trucks are glued together and racing all over each other.
Look at Hornaday dive to the bottom to make it side by side for the lead.
Side by side, Ron Hornaday on the bottom, up into the wall. James Busher in the wall.
Brian Scott with him.
The 16 of Brian Scott and that Albertson's Toyota Tundra, and the caution flag comes out for the first time today.
It almost looked like they got hooked together.
And I bet you the truck on the bottom, Busher, got a little bit sideways. I was just waiting for that to happen. We've seen guys dance around quite a lot.
Right? Oh, yeah. Oh, that hit hard, though.
Man, a lot of damage to both of those trucks. There's James Busher's Max Force Ford. Tremendous amount of damage, as well as the 16 Albertsons Toyota for Brian Scott.
You got to think maybe the 10 was either trying to get in a hole that wasn't there, or he just got loose down on the inside.
Got his gloves off. Take another look. Here was 3 wide. Kyle Busch to the outside. Now this was earlier when it looked like Kyle was going to get into the wall.
Then there's a little bit of contact with the 6 of Colin Brown and the 10 of James Busher. And then remember we saw the 30 of Todd Bodine possibly squeeze the 51 into the outside wall. Let's see what happens here. Todd gets sideways and has to chase his truck, and that's why Kyle got into the outside wall. And here comes the incident between James Busher and Brian Scott just a few moments ago.
This is a huge hit. You can see Busher down on the inside of Johnny
Oh, he gets
Sauter.
completely sideways.
Gets loose and overcorrects, and wham, Brian Scott minding his own business and gets taken right into the wall. That happened. That came close to happen 3 or 4 times already, Phil, and finally it got away from Busher. Let's check this out in real time. Look at this hit these guys take.
See him completely sideways, and then he just turns hard right, catches Brian Scott. Absolute innocent victim right there.
Yep, right into the safer barriers, and thank goodness for those safer barriers.
Look at the debris scattering after that. Watch these trucks hit. Wham!
Thank goodness for that softer wall with the safer barrier. Adam, what's going on with Brian Scott? Is he okay?
He's okay, I think, but Phil, it was a tough hit, as you guys documented it, and you can see Brian climbing from the truck, waving to the crowd. They came on the radio and said, "That's a tough hit, Brian, are you okay?" And you could hear his voice shaking. He said, "Yeah, but man, I hit hard." And that's from a kid that is young and pretty athletic, and as you guys documented, thank goodness in this situation for that safer barrier.
A lot of damage to the 16 and the 10 of James Busher. Those 2 trucks involved in this incident, bringing out our first caution at Michigan International Speedway. on speed. NASCAR Race Day marches into Michigan. Before the action heats up on the track, be there as Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman discuss the phenomenal first season of Stewart-Haas Racing. NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot, live tomorrow 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
The real deal will have some of the drivers talking about the fans.
That'll be with Wendy Venturini. You want to tune in for that again 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Michigan 200 continues when we come back. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. Again, an overcast day here for the Michigan 200. Rain possibly on the horizon. Mario Gosling in that number 12 out in front of the field.
He's going to show him a little something, bring them down to take the green. Mario
stayed on the racetrack, did not elect to pit.
He's Canadian, like me. I'm 1/8 Canadian, and you know when we get
That's
up here,
why the anthem earlier.
It meant a lot
Canadian.
to me. When we get up here in this part of the country, we get all jiggy with it. There's our lucky dog, Brandon Knupp.
Aaron's lucky dog, by the way.
They love Canada too. Uh-oh.
Mario decided he's going to come on to pit road.
A lot of pressure.
Puts the field back in the hands of that 51 of Kyle Busch. And so Kyle Busch will bring him back to the green flag. It's in the air, and we're back underway.
Great restart by Ron Hornaday. He's got a bit of a mini run on Kyle Busch. See if he decides to do anything with it.
Remember last year here, contact between these two sent Ron Hornaday spinning. No backing off that throttle.
The two trucks off the racetrack, Brian Scott and James Busher, are 33rd and 34th. Now remember, Brian Scott coming in was 5th in the point standing, so a tough points day for Brian Scott.
He's had an up and down year, hasn't he?
Sure
The
has.
performance has been there, but he's run into some stuff.
Well, look at Hornaday get loose again. Has to chase it up the hill. Allows Todd just to drive right on by.
As does the 6 of Colin Brown. So
Man,
Colin Brown.
I like this Colin Brown truck. He's made some good moves early in this race, and right now he's up to 2nd. Looks like he might have the truck, Phil. Excuse me, he's 3rd. There's Tom Bodine just ahead of him.
Inside corner, inside.
They're talking about somebody looking to the inside of Colin Brown.
Looks like Mike Skinner has a pretty good truck. He's one of the only guys that's been able to make some ground on the bottom of the racetrack.
And Mike Skinner has been good at this racetrack, but has never been able to get to victory lane. Ray Dunlap, have we heard anything out of Kyle Busch?
Well, he came in and put fuel in during that caution, guys, and no adjustments, though, at all for that Mikasuki Toyota. Kyle said he's really happy when the truck is on the high side. He doesn't like it down on the bottom, although that's where he's running through the tri-oval right now. Todd Bodine right behind him. They also came in and got fuel that time. No adjustments for the Copart Toyota.
Kyle Busch diving to the bottom of the track on the back trail. He tried to break that draft, Phil. He likes it out there by himself. But I think once these guys quit arguing over that 2nd spot, they're going to close right in on Kyle.
If they'll line up again, you know, this race is running just like a restrictor place race that we run at Daytona Talladega.
Right now, the best truck of that 4 is Colin Brown, but he can't find his way around Todd Bodine. He's faster than Todd. Like Skinner, he's been down on the inside of Todd, but he just can't make his way around him.
We've seen so many trucks get loose down the bottom. Mike Skinner's truck looks to be the most stable down there in the bottom.
But can he keep his momentum up is the big key right now. Can he get by Matt Crafton?
Wasn't able to do it, but then the draft moved to the inside. It's going to give Skinner another run. Adam, what's going on with Colin Brown?
Well, they just said from the spotter stand, once you get on the outside of the 30, you'll beat him. We'll wait and see if that proves true. They, like the 2 guys in front of him when they pitted at lap 10, took fuel only, no changes. He's pretty satisfied with the truck. You can see he's running right beside Mike Skinner for position, and right behind him, that bright yellow truck of Matt Crafton finds himself in the top 6. He too took fuel only after a long debate about coming back for tires, but they felt like it was too much of a gamble on track position because of the rain in the area.
Comes another run by Colin Brown. He's back on the inside of Todd Bodine.
I really only saw one truck on an entire sequence of pit stops that got fuel and tires, and that was the 23 of Jason White.
Look at Brown's run through the middle there. He's going to clear Todd Bodine. Now he's going to try to provide a little bit of company for Kyle Busch. I believe he can get there.
And really, that's the first time we've seen somebody on the bottom of the racetrack pull away from somebody up high.
This guy here, he can do it as well. He started back in the 13th, in the 12th spot. drove up right to the front. Look at these guys battling for a spot.
Sheriff Fitzpatrick in the 4 just in front of the 14.
Hey, just about a lap ago, look right side of your screen, you see Rick down on the bottom. Remember, that was his teammate James Busher that was down there when he got loose. And look at Rick have to chase that truck all the way up the hill. Almost made contact with JR.
JR don't know how lucky he was, because Rick Crawford drove as high as he could, and fortunately JR was able to slip out on the outside.
Again, Timothy Peters in the 17. It looks obviously a lot like the 1 did a week ago, because that's virtually the same race truck.
Hey, that truck went to the back of the field for the start of this race, and look who he's racing with, Ron Hornaday already. Right now, Timothy Peters up into the top 10.
And we saw Hornaday yesterday in practice. He wasn't that good, Phil. He was down, remember, 16th, 18th on the speed chart, and wasn't happy. That truck kept changing tires, changing the cowl, working on it the whole practice.
Well, Timothy drove right by him on the bottom.
That looked like a very close call. Ron's been running right in the middle line through the turns, and we're seeing a lot of drivers making the momentum up on the high side. But now the 17 and the 6 we've seen make passes on the inside. Adam Alexander.
And you guys talked about the fact that Timothy Peters just went by Ron Hornaday. His teammate just flashed by as well. I'm talking about J.R. Fitzpatrick in that black number 4. Only his second start with KHI. He's been impressive, complaining the truck is tight in the early going this afternoon, right?
And Adam, for Ron Hornaday, he says his truck has absolutely no grip coming off of the corner. He's okay rolling through the center, but he can't get a handle on it coming off, and that's where Hornaday's losing a lot of his time. Slowly slipping back through the field is the 33 Chevy, excuse me.
Yeah, Ron Hornaday is definitely backing up. You could see right through the center of the corner that he just didn't have the speed these other guys did. There's Stacy Compton, the Melling Toyota right there. He's going to just drive around Hornaday on the outside, looks like. Bringing Chad McCumbee with him.
Uncharacteristic for this truck and this team, man. They've been on top of it. Not today, though.
Chad McCumbee looks to push Stacy Compton forward. Look at the gap between Kyle Busch now and that 6 of Colin Brown. Can he hang on to that lead? Well, we're going to find out. Busch, Brown, Crafton, Skinner, and Bodine, your top 5 at Michigan International Speedway. Thursday night wrecked is all new. O'Hare must tow a bridge across an icy pond. A disaster looms when the ice beneath begins to break. Don't miss an all-new episode of Wrecked, Life in the Crash Lane. Thursday night at 10 Eastern, exclusively on Speed.
I can't wait to see what happens. It begins to break?
It begins to break.
You know that water's cold.
Because it's icy.
We went away from competition here, and there was a gap of about 20 truck lengths between these two. That gap has closed down, but even a bigger story is there's been a problem with Ron Hornaday when we went away. Ray, what happened?
Well, on lap 23, the team came into pit, and guys, you can see the tire right here. This is the tire that came off of the right rear, and you'll notice there was a cut right here. Hornaday had come on the radio, said, I feel like maybe a tire is going down, and it certainly did. They were lucky to not tear the truck up any more than they did, but it was under green flag conditions, so Hornaday had to pit on lap 23. Rick?
Yeah, unfortunate for Ron Hornaday, and what that does for him now puts him a lap down in 23rd.
Look at this battle for the lead. Brown is there. Been able just to ease right in on Kyle Busch. It looked like he had the fastest truck early in the race, and indeed he does.
Chipping away at that lead, and now getting a little bit of the aerodynamic help. Falling in behind the 51, letting the 51 break the air. Great problems on the racetrack.
There's Hornaday involved.
Hornaday, as well as the 60 of Stacy Compton, and into the wall. It looks like the 07 potentially of Chad McCumbee.
Hornaday's going to get away without a lot of damage, Phil.
Yeah, that's Delana, truck owner right there. Stacy Compton, tremendous amount of damage to that Safe Auto Melling Toyota.
It's like a pug.
Stacy was running up in the top 15 before this incident happened.
Yep, it was the 07 all the way up against the wall. So 3 trucks definitely involved, the 60, the 33, and the 07.
A lot of damage to that 07 truck of Chad McCumbee.
Somebody got back of Hornaday for some reason. Maybe he was slowing down to.
He's got a lot of flat tires now.
Yeah.
Both left sides flat.
He's going to run out of tires.
Tough situation for Ron Hornaday.
Remember
a lot of damage.
Yesterday in practice, Hornaday went for a spin with a flat tire. And he cut a tire under caution. Now he's got 4 more flat tires. He's got his splitter broken too. This truck won't be competitive anymore, Phil, but at least it's going in the right direction. They can get back out there.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll soldier on. You see all 4 tires flat on that 33 truck right there.
One of the things that Hornaday has got to think about as far as the point situation, he's 23rd right now. He was a lap down. This is going to take him a few more laps to get him back out onto the racetrack. At least he'll be down another lap potentially. But they've got to do a lot of work to this truck to, like you mentioned, make it competitive.
Yeah, they do need some attention. The nose blew back to itself, but it's torn apart. They'll have to get some tape on the nose. Obviously 4 tires, the splitter's broken. I don't see that damage in the back being that big of a deal to the truck.
Here comes the field onto pit road, Adam Alexander.
And the man who will arrive on the pit lane in the 4th position is Matt Crafton. He started on the outside of the front row today. Only the 8th time in his career he started on the front row, and he is making the best of it. His crew chief, Bud Hafley, said, your truck gets better and better as the fuel burns off. They will get 4 tires this time and then come back for fuel. And 3 stalls in front of him, Colin Brown comes in, running in the 2nd position. You see him middle of your screen. 4 tires, air pressure, and then he will come back for fuel, Ray.
And Adam, on the top of your screen, you see Kyle Busch. They're going to put a rubber in the left rear. It's a 4-tire change for the Miccosukee Toyota. On the bottom, you see Mike Skinner. They're also doing 4 tires for the 5 truck.
And again, in this series, you cannot change tires and add fuel on the same pit stop. So you'll have to do 2 stops to get both of those accomplished.
Yeah, Jason White and Colin Brown were racing off pit road. Remember, Jason White is the guy that already put tires on in the first round of pit stop, so he probably did fuel only, and they were racing to the end of pit road. I hope neither one of those guys was speeding, but here's how this incident started here.
Oh, wow.
Down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Looked like McCumbee.
That was actually Hornaday. Looked like he got on the inside of that yellow line, and it sent him up the racetrack.
McCumbee cut across in front of Hornaday. It took Hornaday's angle away. He slowed down, and Stacy Compton just drove right in the back of him. I'm not sure. Looked like Hornaday was at a reduced speed when he went down into turn 1. This is after it already happened. That first look gives us a pretty good idea what happened. For some reason, McCumbee felt like he had Hornaday cleared and drove straight to the bottom and turned himself sideways.
Now take a look at this one more time. That look
watch
we were talking about earlier.
Watch as they enter 1 here, Phil. You can see.
They'll come into your screen right here.
Right in there.
Hornaday's right on the bottom. And there goes McCumbee cutting across Hornaday's front and Hornaday up the hill.
Yeah, it was a deal of McCumbee coming down the hill, Hornaday going up the hill, and then they met.
Back on pit road. Let's go back down to Adam.
And Matt Crafton is in, and also in front of him is Colin Brown. You see him middle of your screen. They're just going to top off the fuel tank in preparation for what could be a long green flag run, Ray.
Gasoline for Kyle Busch. They pull off a tear-off off the windshield. They're checking the tires on the 5 truck. Mike Skinner said he had a pretty serious vibration, so they wanted to make sure that all the lug nuts were tight from the first pit stop when they put tires on, but fuel for everybody on my end of pit road.
Colin Brown, Kyle Busch.
Hey, lucky dog.
Winning the race off of pit road. Lucky dog. Aaron's lucky dog goes to Norm Benning. He'll get a lap back, and we'll be right back. Coming up, live coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans continues on Speed. Some of the world's best drivers push the limits of endurance as they battle for international glory. Again, live coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans is coming up next. And just to kind of whet your appetite, Sebastian Bourdais is leading now, and Peugeot is running 1-2.
And they probably don't have, what, another 18 or 20 hours or something like that to run?
Yeah,
well,
and those Audis, they just keep after those Peugeots. They just battle right along.
Well, Audi has been pretty dominant as of years past, and so
that driver right there running third has run the youngest driver ever to be on the podium at Le Mans. Colin Brown.
I think he's got a really solid chance at a podium here in Michigan too. That truck is fast.
Pace truck off the racetrack, and now it's back in the hands actually of Ryan Hackett, who's in front in the 76. Jason White just behind him in the 23. Jay White looks to the inside.
Colin Brown got hung up behind Ryan Hackett, allowed Kyle Busch to make a run down to the bottom. Now Colin's going to follow Kyle.
Kyle jumping out to the lead now as they come out of turn number 2.
We heard Colin have to get out of the throttle, and you saw the difference. When he got out of the throttle, he was dead side by side with the 23 of Jason White. He had to get it out of the throttle. He lost 2 truck lengths.
Look at Skinner. We watched him march from the back earlier down on the bottom of the racetrack. One of the few trucks that'll do that. He and Colin Brown. Oh, no!
The 15 of Eichler gets into the back of the 24 and sliding back in front of the field, and now we've got a couple other trucks that have tied up.
Got clipped.
Man, Skinner did an awesome job missing that crash.
David Starr in the 24, Johnny Sauter in the 13, caught up in this. The 15 of Eichler, it looked like he had to chase that truck up and got back into the back of the 24.
David Starr came out of it okay. Eichler comes out of it okay. Skinner did an amazing job.
I don't know how he hit it. He's going to have some flat spotted tires, it looks like.
He's going to have some tires. He slid through it, but what a great job missing that wreck. He couldn't see where he was going either. Just remember that. You can't see through that smoke.
And he's only running 155, 60 miles an hour.
Amazingly enough, because of this early caution coming out, the truck that was 1 lap down, the highest scored one, was Ron Hornaday. So Ron Hornaday will be back on the lead lap.
You can
watch
see
this
here.
now. Watch the 15 of Brian Eichler. He's going to slide up the racetrack, make contact with David Starr in the 24. Now look at all the smoke. We can see Mike Skinner. Mike Skinner couldn't see anything but smoke.
He clipped the 24 truck a little bit, it looked like.
Got through it. You see the 30 made some contact, or had some contact made from the 13. The 17 of Timothy Peters also with some damage to that truck.
Watch this black truck down on the bottom. He doesn't have any prayer of getting underneath that 24 truck, so he goes high and makes it.
Did he lock the brakes up?
It looks like he locked the brakes up, and maybe that's what turned that truck right, and it worked out for him.
Take another look.
This is what Mike Skinner right here saw.
Or didn't see.
Or didn't see.
I got the 30. 14,
No, he's just
30's on the outside.
He just knows that.
In front of him.
Wow. He just knows that 24 truck's going to come straight down.
Unbelievable. On to pit road now. You see Mike Skinner, Ron Hornaday, Taylor Malsom, all making the way onto pit road.
A little bit of damage on the left front of Mike Skinner, and then definitely some flat spotted tires.
Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 33 of Ron Hornaday. Let's go down to Ray Dunlap.
And they'll have to check the fenders on all 4 corners of this 5 truck. They said especially on the left front. He's got a flat left front tire for sure. They're going to put 4 tires on this thing, check all the fenders, get Skinner back out there. The guys are getting the left side tires on it right now. Really no hurry here. Crew Chief Eric Phillips telling them to make sure that there are no rubs when they get Mike back to the racetrack.
Doesn't look like there'll be enough damage there to matter, Phil. Well, a little bit.
You're going to have to put some tape on that, I would think, to make sure that aerodynamics, which are pretty key here at this racetrack, don't play into him having a hard handling vehicle. We'll be back with more from Michigan after this.
Welcome back to Michigan International Raceway. You see the Copart.com Toyota has some damage. Todd Bodine came in. They are looking at all the fenders, and the crew just put right side tires on this number 32. So obviously he was involved in that same accident with Skinner. Skinner has also come back down pit road for a little bit more bare bond. These guys all to the racetrack, and we've gotten the 1 to go signal already here at Michigan.
A lot of stuff going on down there. A lot of damage, a bunch of trucks right in the middle of that mess. Skinner's truck had a hole bashed in the front, but the shape of the truck still looked good. A little bit of bare bond, like Ray said, some tape on the front of that thing. He should be good to go. And Hornaday, those guys have really effected some nice repairs to that 33 truck, and now, thanks to Aaron's, he got the lucky dog back on the lead lap.
You know, Rick, the point you made, this is a very aerodynamic track. I mean, the speeds are much like we see at Daytona Talladega, so you can see they did a nice job of repairing that 5 truck, but that wrinkled hood and that wrinkled front fender, there may have a slight effect.
Could see a tire rub potentially on that left front tire.
What you don't want to do is damage a splitter. And look at Hornaday. See all the tape they have down there on that front splitter? It was broken away. They've taped it up. This thing here, I'm still concerned he won't have everything he needs aerodynamically to do the job with.
Here are the trucks and drivers that were involved in this most recent caution.
Really, all of these trucks has been running extremely well here today, and hopefully a lot of them will be able to effect the repairs we were talking about and continue to run up front.
There's a pretty good chance somebody's going to win this race. They're going to have some tape on their truck, isn't there?
Adam Alexander, what's going on with the 4?
No tape on his truck right now. 8th to 5th for J.R. Fitzpatrick. He has been stable in that top 10 all day long, and as we mentioned earlier, only his 2nd start for KHI, but he and John Monson, the crew chief, really hitting it off. It's impressive what this kid has done, and we'll see if he can stay up there.
I love what he did at Dover. Made a mistake early, maybe got a little loose, got in the wall. Darn.
Battled back.
Battled back to an 11th place finish.
Remember back to Daytona, he finished 4th.
Yeah.
First time at Daytona.
Yeah, what a great run that was, too. How fun was that to watch?
Kyle Busch, Colin Brown across the start-finish line. Green back in the air.
Jason White continuing his good run of good fortune here, running 3rd right now with some good pit strategy.
Behind him, Matt Crafton, our point leader, coming in, looking to the inside of that 23, trying to take 3rd away.
It's a hard pass to make down on the bottom. Matt thinks better of it, pulls back up behind Jason. He'll probably try to flare to the outside of him when he gets down here to 3.
See J.R. Fitzpatrick, the Ford truck, right behind Matt Crafton. There goes Crafton to the outside of the 23.
And right by he goes. What a run he has on the high side.
I think he was listening to you, Mikey. Comes Brian Eichler trying to move to the outside of Timothy Peters. Timothy having a great run with his first start for Red Horse Racing, and that's Strutmasters Toyota.
Yeah, Timothy has driven up into the top 10 from his 17th starting spot, making moves all the way.
And remember, he had to go all the way to the back because of repairs, unapproved adjustments.
Brian Eichler just on the outside of him, right?
And Rick, his truck was really, really tight. They went up 3 rounds on the track bar on that last round of pit stops for Eichler. He said it definitely made a big difference, and we're hoping to get information on Samsung and their sponsorship here the first of the week. Billy Ballou, the owner of this team, told me they have a proposal. They're looking at possibly doing the entire rest of the season. That would be good news for Billy Ballou Motorsports. Adam?
Here comes Rick Crawford right behind Eichler in that 14 truck. He started 10th today. You can see he has gained 2 positions, looking for more on Eichler. This is a team that got only their 2nd top 5 of the season last week at Texas. Rick told me before the race, I feel really good about how this is handling. He's now around Eichler for 2nd and going after Jason White for a position in the top 5.
How about this battle here for 2nd? Matt Crafton on the outside, Colin Brown on the inside.
Great battle right there. Colin Brown's going to try to make it work on the bottom.
What about
3
this
with 4 wide
down into turn 3? That's the narrowest part of the track into turn 3, and they made it 4 wide.
Timothy Peters on the inside of that 15.
Terry Cook's going to join that battle. You see him on the inside of Jason White. That's the 25 Cajun Toyota. There's Terry Cook right there. His Toyota on board.
Listen to it.
A little out of the gas.
I'm back. Wow.
I'm back, and I gained a little ground on Jason White. I'm not going to be able to hold it as we exit the corner because Jason has the outside.
Closing in on the halfway point of this race. Again, 100 scheduled laps. We're at lap 41. Brian Eichler just in front of the 4 of J.R. Fitzpatrick. Out in front of the field, it's Kyle Busch.
This is as good as it gets, isn't it? I mean, these guys are racing all over each other.
Colin Brown, a big run now as he tries to get by that 88 of Matt Crafton. We'll see which line Crafton takes and if Colin Brown goes high.
I'm going to guess Crafton's going to go high. He likes it up there. Cuts to the bottom of the racetrack on the exit.
Tries to get a little bit of a run down the hill. It's almost like driving downhill when you cut through the inside of the corner that way.
Now we still see them running 1, 2, 3. Kyle Busch, Matt Crafton, Colin Brown down the back stretch. Here's 3 wide once again. Todd Bodine in the middle. Ryan Hackett in that 76. An impressive run for him. Still running up near the top 10, running in the 10th spot. You see David Starr in the 24 just in front. Now David was the one who got sideways when we saw Mike Skinner able to avoid. Ray, what are we hearing out of Todd Bodine and how much damage have they got?
Well, he talked with crew chief Mike Hillman Jr. and Mike told him he's got the truck back to about 80% of what it was before, and they're going to continue to work on it. But Todd said, I'd really like you to check the camber in the right front. Mike said there's no way we can do that because we can't open the hood. The damage on that truck, if they were to open the hood, they don't think they could ever get it back down. So they're going to try some wedge adjustments on the next round of pit stops.
What about this 76 truck of Ryan Hackett? I love seeing that. We've watched him get better and better every week. Right now, he's racing in between David Starr and Todd Bodine. Those are both guys that have won these races.
Sideways into the wall, Mikey.
Ryan Hackett in the 76 into the wall. We were just talking about a run that he was having, a good one.
He thinks he can still go, but I believe he's going to be a big
got a couple
surprise
flat
when he gets
tires
down.
Down. All right, now
There you
at
go.
the bottom of the track.
Darn, he was doing a great
All right,
job,
too. You guys, the right front looks like it's a little damaged. Slow it down as much as you can, Ryan.
A couple laps ago, I saw him get a little bit wiggly through that part of the racetrack. Watch this now. He's got Todd Bodine behind him. He's going to chase the truck up the hill. You can see it start wiggling. He gets sideways and just runs out of racetrack.
Yeah. That's a shame. He was giving that truck a great ride, and that just goes to show you he was working his rear end off to be running between Todd Bodine and David Starr. He was driving that truck for all it had.
Had a top 10 run going for Ryan Hackett. There's the gap, 1, 2, and 3. Kyle Busch, Matt Crafton, and Colin Brown running in your top 3. The second the engines fire today, it has been edge of your seat excitement at Michigan International Speedway. I think I like the way Jeff Gordon says free stuff. Free stuff.
I like the way he says Holly Green.
Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. The Michigan 200 closing in on the halfway point. It is Kyle Busch out in front of Matt Crafton. And then right behind Crafton is Colin Brown. These three have separated themselves by 6 seconds from 4th place Brian Eichler.
Yeah, all 3 of these trucks are really good right now. If either one of these 3 trucks, I believe, was in the lead, then they would be able to continue to lead. It's very, very difficult right now for Matt Crafton to try to figure out a way to get around Kyle Busch.
And as a race car driver, I like watching what these guys are doing. Every corner, it seems, they take different lines through the turn. Kyle Busch has stayed down on the bottom predominantly, but he's leading. But when Crafton gets to the corner, one time he'll go low, next time he'll go high, and wherever he goes, it seems Colin Brown says, oh, I'm going to go the other way.
Look, you guys just touched on, any one of them could be out front. Well, they're separated by less than 1/10 of a second, or 1/10 of a mile an hour.
Yeah, and the fastest one of the 3 last lap was the 3rd place truck, and the slowest was the 1st place truck. Look at this battle. You know, Kyle Busch will keep looking in that mirror, and if they get closer and closer,
guys, let me know when it got.
He'll change his line. He'll go from the bottom to the top to protect.
Kyle Busch, Matt Crafton, Colin Brown. 1, 2, and 3. Colin Brown, a little more pressure on him, I think, with Roush Fenway having such success at this racetrack that won 4 times.
Hasn't he crashed the last 2 races leading? I mean, he's doing everything he can at Charlotte.
Yeah, prior to Texas, the last 2 races, it was Charlotte, and Lowe's Motor Speedway, and Dover, and he was leading when he got crashed at Charlotte, and then he cut a tire down at Dover.
Let's do a top 10 drop back, and we'll begin with Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, listening to Kyle Busch on the radio, he's actually a little bit worried about the tires on his truck right now, saying that he's not sure how long a run he wants to go on here. Doug George's crew chief saying we got to get somewhere past lap 60 before we'd even consider it. And so they're continuing to monitor that situation. Adam?
Matt Crafton rides in the 2nd position, and he's not said this on the radio, but I kind of believe the truck has got a little bit more than what he is showing. Tight the condition right now for the 88, and right behind him is Colin Brown. Very impressive run for this youngster today. Lauren Renier is his spotter atop the spotter stand. He also spots for Jamie McMurray. He's been telling him, use the guy in front of you's blade on the straightaway, draft off of him, and then get clean air in the corner. Ray?
If Brian Eichler was able to finish where he's running right now, it'd be a career best. Remember, he finished 5th at Kansas City, and Billy Ballou very, very high on this young driver. And of course, Kyle Busch with a great interest in Brian Eichler. He believes that this kid is certainly a big part of the future of NASCAR. Adam?
And he is making his 5th start today. Right behind him, Rick Crawford. Well, he's well over 300. This guy has been very impressive in the Truck Series over the years, and he appears to be gaining some momentum in 09. We talked a few moments ago about the fact he was in the top 5 last week at Texas. He's running good today, and he entered only 54 points out of the top 5 in the standings, Ray.
Adam, a brand new truck today for Red Horse Racing, and the first time that Timothy Peters has been behind the wheel of this team. And of course, he's very, very happy with the way his truck is handling through the center. Just a little bit tight coming off of the corners. Adam?
And an impressive day, as we have talked about, for J.R. Fitzpatrick in the Ford truck. He currently finds himself in the 7th position. He continues to say the truck too loose on exit, tight in the center, but he is managing quite well on his first trip to Michigan, Ray.
Michigan certainly one of the tracks that you would think Mike Skinner is going to run well at. In the last 5 times we've been here, Skinner has led a lap in all 5 of those races. A couple of top 10s the last time we came here. He finished 8th here at Michigan, currently in the top 10 again today. Adam?
Taylor Malsom has been incredible in his rookie season. He is 10th in the race today. He entered 11th. in the point standings. And Malsum is one of the guys that was involved in an accident. You can see some of the repair damage on the right front. Despite the fact he's already been on pit road 6 times today, he has rallied into the top 10, currently riding in the 9th position. And right behind him, Terry Cook. Terry has been good today. Very similar schedule to what we have seen from some of the other guys as far as strategy is concerned, and that's not surprising. Terry has been at all 9 races here at Michigan, producing 6 top 10 finishes.
Great job, Adam. Ray, thank you for getting us through the top 10. Take a look at this. The battle for second continues to heat up. Colin Brown and Matt Crafton haven't decided who's going to take it.
Those guys were side by side the last time by. I feel they had kept up with that little black speck up ahead for most of this fuel run, but Kyle Busch has driven away. And as soon as he started to drive away, that's when Colin Brown started heating up Matt Crafton, trying to get under him.
So the battle for second put 2 trucks side by side. That enabled Kyle Busch to pull out to almost a 2-second lead over Matt Crafton. Welcome back to the Michigan 200. Kyle Busch still out in front of this field. Again, about 2 seconds between he and second place Matt Crafton. Colin Brown back there in third. Brian Eichler, Timothy Peters rounding out our top 5.
Are these guys thinking there's a caution flag? I was just going to ask. We've had an extended green flag run here. A lot of rain this morning in the area. These guys were probably getting a little bit concerned about those right side tires, weren't they?
Absolutely. We heard Kyle Busch said he didn't know how long to run. He wanted, there's the debris right there. I believe that's in the backstretch. But I think right now we're on lap number 59. We've completed lap 58 by the time these guys get to pit road. I believe we're now in our window where all these trucks can make it the rest of the way after this round of pit stops.
We talked about that pit window being anywhere from 40 to 45 laps, so they should be able to make it.
What about that adjustment they called for on that Kyle Busch truck? It lost them a spot on the track. They put a spring rubber in the left rear. That takes a couple extra seconds, but it was worth it. That truck's a lot better now. Be interesting to see if Crafton and Brown can make their trucks better on with their adjustments coming up.
So Kyle Busch out in front. Pit road is closed. We'll be back. Find out what adjustments are made on these trucks.
59 laps complete at Michigan International Speedway. The Michigan 200 for the Camping World Truck Series. We are under caution, and the leaders are on pit road. The first of those to hit his spot, the 88 of Matt Crafton running second. He is tight. They will make a slight adjustment to help his handling and get 4 tires. He will return for fuel next lap. Middle of your screen, Colin Brown running in the top 5. He is a tick free. They will make an adjustment when they come back for fuel, Ray.
Kyle Busch gets a little bit of air pressure in the right front. They came in as the leader, 4 tires on this pit stop. Kyle Busch is on his way. Will he be the first one off pit road? It appears yes. Busch came in first, leads first.
Tell you what, pit stop's a premium here because there was not a lot of pass. Well, it was very difficult for them to pass on the racetrack. That was between Kyle Busch, Colin Brown, and the 88 of Matt Crafton. Well, Busch and Brown get out in front of Crafton now, so Crafton could have lost the spot even to Brian Eichler on pit road.
And remember, they have to come back in, though. We're going to come back in for a little bit of fuel, and that will be enough fuel to get them to the end. So the race off pit road next time is the one that's really going to be critical, because that's how we're going to restart.
Trying to figure out how to fix this thing up. They've fallen back since the damage that Todd Bodine suffered.
Well, if you live for speed, then you need the gear. Just hit the store at shopspeedtv.com. Get t-shirts, hats, jackets, and more. This is serious gear for serious fans. Go to shopspeedtv.com and your speed gear today.
It was almost cool enough this morning up here in the Irish Hills area to need a jacket.
I actually wore a jacket this morning. Actually, well, when we left the hotel at the Ann Arbor area, it was actually raining. So the rain had already passed through the track area. And now back onto pit road. Let's get back down to Adam Alexander.
And for what it's worth, Rick, you're not the only big baby on the crew. I had a jacket as well. Anyway, Matt Crafton coming down for his second pit stop in this cycle. He got 4 tires and an adjustment on the first stop. It will be fuel only here for the 88, and they should be good to go the distance. 3 pit stalls in front of him. They make an adjustment for Colin Brown, put in 2 cans of fuel, wipe off the grill. He should be good to go as well, Ray.
Fuel going in for Kyle Busch. They said it's going to take a little bit more than 1 can. There goes the second can in. Kyle will be leaving, but he is going to get beat off pit road by the 6 of Colin Brown.
What a great job by Colin Brown's team. The first time they came to pit road, they got around Matt Crafton. The next time, they got around the leader. of Kyle Busch, and that looked like one of the faster trucks. He'll have his work cut out for him on this restart, though, Phil, keeping that 51 truck behind him. You know how Kyle likes to go when they say go.
Bad news for the 5 of Mike Skinner. Too fast entering the previous pit stop, so he will go to the tail end of the longest line. So that's why they were in no hurry on pit road. They knew they were going to be penalized, so they looked that truck over where they made the repairs from that earlier incident.
So the race off of pit road, won by Kyle Busch once again. Few positions may change out in front of the field. We'll see who continues to lead. Just back under green flag conditions, Kyle Busch in front of Colin Brown, and that actually is a pass. I had mentioned earlier that Kyle won the race.
J.R. Fitzpatrick, around he goes.
In front of the traffic. He slides into the wall. Let's see if everyone stays away as he tries to keep it
pretty hard
in the middle of the track. Sure enough, J.R. Fitzpatrick, a lot of damage to that race truck.
Remember, new tires full of fuel. That's when these trucks are typically good. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, man.
That's when these trucks are going to be probably as free as they're going to be, Michael. Yeah.
So the 5th caution of the day comes out, this time just after the restart, and it's J.R. Fitzpatrick. Let's take another look.
Racing side by side with Terry Cook. Terry gets on the outside of JR. He goes to cut under Dennis Setzer, and it's just going to take the wind away from him a little bit. Phil made a bit of an abrupt move down to the inside of Setzer.
Todd Bodine barely avoided Jared Fitzpatrick as he slid back up into the outside wall.
Anytime you hit on that left side, it's just violent. Watch him try to cut underneath the red truck there, Dennis Setzer, and the thing just got away from him.
Just about had it saved, and then the right front caught and turned it back into the outside wall.
You know, from up here in the booth, you can always be the armchair quarterback, but you'd think, boy, if he would have just kept it locked down to the left, he had all that concrete, he could have slid.
In front of you. Check to the outside, go low, keep digging.
Nice job by Mike Swain, Mike Skinner's spotter.
So 5 cautions early on in this one. We're past the halfway point. We've completed 64 laps. We'll be back for more green flag racing from Michigan. Coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Keep the wheels turning. By Herculiner. Herculiner truck bed liners, where tough comes easy. And by Just for Men. Stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. New Fuel Max tires help you have a winning fuel strategy.
Another guy that's really working hard to stay in this game is Ron Hornaday. We saw that truck have a flat tire earlier. He didn't have the speed. He got in a crash. Gray, what are they doing now?
Well, they're continuing to work on this thing. Hornaday says that he doesn't really like the way it handles through the center of the corner. They're working on the front of the nose there, trying to get it a little more aerodynamic. Saw Danny Stockman going over the wall there, taking a look at that truck. Also, during this round, during this caution, we saw the 30 truck of Todd Bodine come down pit road, as well as Mike Skinner.
There's Todd back.
Todd one more time on pit road, that Copart.com Toyota Tundra.
You know, Hornaday had top 10 finishes in the first 6 races, and then he's had a couple finishes outside the top 15. Still hanging in here, though. As Michael said, he's continuing to work on it. And Ray trying to get this truck better, because right now we only have about 16 trucks on the lead lap. So if they can make those trucks a little bit better, that means Hornaday and Todd Bodine, a top 10 finish is certainly not out of the question.
Also certainly help preserve some points on a tough day. That team, Hornaday's team specifically, yesterday a flat tire, a spin, and today it hasn't gotten any better. So if they can keep working and get a top 10 out of this, they're going to be pretty happy.
Randy Kaiser pulls the pace truck back onto pit road.
Todd Bodine is going to be way behind now. Just left pit road. He's going to be almost a half lap behind when we restart this race.
Green flag back in the air. Kyle Busch, Colin Brown, then Brian Eichler and Matt Crafton. Rick Crawford's moved up into the top 5. He runs 5th. Timothy Peters is 6th. Taylor Malsom 7th. David Starr, Terry Cook, Dennis Setzer, your top 10.
Check out Eichler trying to go underneath Colin Brown. We watched him go in, try to go underneath David Starr down in turn 3. That didn't work out so well. We'll see what happens when they get down here this time. He's down on the bottom.
Matt Crafton is helping Colin Brown on the outside, giving him some drafting help. Here's a situation right here. He got loose again, Mikey.
We've seen that before where Brian Eichler gets a little bit loose and has to chase it up the racetrack.
I think he actually chased the front end up of the racetrack the first time they had an incident. That time it looked like he was a little bit too free.
Start to line up now.
Look at the run Colin Brown has all the way to the back bumper of that 51 truck. He's going to cut to the bottom, Phil.
Not able to do it right then. Colin Brown just not quite able to get up beside the 51 of Kyle Busch. Kyle was really good through the center of the corner. Good battle back there right behind this group. Adam, what's going on pit road?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the 6 of Colin Brown, Phil, and his biggest concern is restarts. In fact, he was talking under that last caution about how can I get better at restarts, because that's where he lost the lead. Mike Beam said, don't worry about it. You just keep that nose clean, and if this thing goes green, we are going to be the truck to beat. And right now, he is right on the bumper of the leader, Kyle Busch, right?
I'll give you an update on Todd Bodine real quick on lap 67. They came down, put fuel in that truck and also 4 tires. Now, Mike Hillman Jr. thinks a lot of these guys at the front of the field are going to be very tight on fuel. I was listening to Kyle Busch's radio, and his crew chief, Doug George, said they should be 2 laps to the good at this point.
I don't think fuel is going to be an issue. Do you feel
No, I really don't. We've had a couple caution laps. All these trucks were on pit road on lap number 61. Only left 39 laps with a few caution laps, which you obviously get better fuel mileage during the caution laps.
Kyle Busch leading Colin Brown around this 2-mile super speedway, Michigan International Speedway. Side of race 9.
Hi, Ray Dunlap here with this week's Camping World Destination Recreation. You know, if you're new to RVing, you hear a lot of names and numbers, but I want to give you a simple one. Class C. That's a great place to get started. And this unit behind me is a typical example of that, with the cab in the front and the little part that comes over. Now, a lot of times that's sleeping space for the kids, but some people choose to make it a media center or a place to store the family pet. Now, if you're a small family or a couple of empty nesters, this is a great way to get started. And for right around $50,000, you can start your RV experience.
Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. Kyle Busch in front of Colin Brown and Matt Crafton. We've seen this battle continuing. Colin Brown has been able to close the gap on that 51 of Kyle Busch. We're hearing NASCAR potentially checking for some debris on the racetrack.
Again, just like the last green flag run, Phil, these guys just switch around which one of the 3 run the fastest lap. Depending on what kind of gap the 6 gets on the 88 and the 51, the truck in the middle or the behind will be the fastest one of the 3.
You know, it's ironic. Adam says we got to have a great battle back here on the right side of your screen. Taylor Malsom right there is in the 5th position. Ron Hornaday has really made some tremendous gains with that truck. Now he's battling Terry Cook for the 6th spot. But I was talking to Mike Beam, Colin Brown's crew chief, in his hauler this morning, and he said that, look at that move on the left.
Kyle Busch checks up. Colin Brown goes by. He's got the lead.
Wow. I don't think Kyle Busch thought that the 57 of Norm Benning was going to force him down that low. He had to get out of the throttle, and that opened up the outside for Colin Brown. But I was talking about the restarts, and he said, Mike Beam said, for whatever reason, Kyle Busch can get the absolute maximum out of his vehicle, truck, car, whatever, on a restart. Obviously, he does it about every lap, but he can really get the maximum out on a restart. But watch this now. Watch Kyle Busch. He's going to go down to the bottom. He thinks Norm Benning's going to give him some room. Then he has to go lower and lower and lower. Has to get out of the throttle, and Colin Brown just sails by on the outside.
What a great opportunity for Colin Brown. He keeps that momentum up, goes on the outside of Norm Benning, and now takes the lead away. Here's Colin's view.
Colin's thinking, I don't know if there's room over there or not, Kyle. We've seen Kyle race on the apron before. He's okay with that.
That was the move of the race right there, all clear. New leader of the 6.
Yeah. And that may be the move of the race. If Colin Brown, we felt like whichever one of these trucks got out front, Mikey, in the clean air was going to be able to continue to lead this race. That could, in fact, be the move of the race, especially if this race goes green. We know how good Kyle is on restarts. We just talked about it. Right now, Colin Brown wants some green flag racing, but these guys want to make it 4 wide.
3 and 4 wide again.
Look
at
that,
the MIS.
The truck in front of them, Ron Hornaday. Oh, watch Skinner. He's going to have trouble making that turn. Gets a little bit tight in the center and almost runs to the side of Terry Cook. Ron Hornaday's team they've stayed in the game today, baby. They're in the top 5 now with that 33 truck after all the problems he's had.
Unbelievable work for the
Good
33
job, good
crew.
job. Get him next time.
That's a Skinner spotter, Mike Swain.
Adam Alexander, what's going on with Taylor also?
You know, he has been very impressive here today. He's been in the top 10 3 times this season, and a moment ago was riding 5th, so perhaps he could get his first career top 5 today. You see they have some damage there on the right front, but despite the fact they've been on pit road a number of times this afternoon, this young kid continues to soldier on in his first ever trip to Michigan. He is quite a talent out of this rookie class. And then just behind him on the racetrack, you can see the 25 of Terry Cook. Terry has been impressive today, despite the fact he has a tight race truck, but they've worked on it. You can see his progress. Started 21st and currently finds himself in the 8th position, right?
And Adam, what a great run today for Timothy Peters. You know, I talked to him about this opportunity, and he said it's really about being in position to have the equipment under you each and every week. And he obviously has a really good truck today with Strutmasters on the number 17. But realize, he said, whenever he's been on the big tracks, on the 2-mile tracks, he just hasn't had any luck. And that's all he needed today was a little bit of luck. Currently, the 17 staying in the top 10. Now back to the front of the field, guys. I want to talk a little bit about Kyle Busch. When we think about the races here at Michigan, how about this? In the last 5 races here, 4 of those times, the guy who led the most laps in the race did not win the event, and one of those was Kyle Busch. 2 years ago, he got beat by Travis Kvapil on the last couple of laps, and guess who Travis drove for? Jack Roush.
It might have been in that very same number 6 Conway Ford right there that Colin Brown's driving.
Roush Fenway looking for their 5th win at Michigan International Speedway here in the backyard of the auto manufacturers. Can Ford find another win at this racetrack? We'll find out. Scene Daily and SpeedTV.com have teamed up to form the most powerful online news in NASCAR. Visit SpeedTV.com now for in-depth analysis, breaking news, and more. Our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. New Fuel Max tires help you have a winning fuel strategy. Colin Brown still with a half-second lead over Kyle Busch. We'll be right back. 3 races ago, Lowe's Motor Speedway, Colin Brown is leading the field. Kyle Busch running second. Kyle Busch gets into the back of the 6 and into the wall. Colin Brown goes. How close was he to winning at Lowe's Motor Speedway? We'll never find out. Same scenario today at Michigan International Speedway. Colin Brown in front of Kyle Busch. They're running 1 and 2, 10 laps of racing to go.
Right now we have 0.8 of a second separating these two. Right now the last thing Colin Brown wants is a caution flag. He does not want to give Kyle Busch another shot at him on a restart.
And all we're hearing out of Kyle Busch right now is, I see debris on the racetrack. There's debris on the racetrack. Tell NASCAR there's debris on the racetrack.
There's a battle for 10th right there. That's actually 9th. Terry Cook 9th. Johnny Sauter 10th in the Funsan Chevrolet. And there's Dennis Setzer and Dave Malcolmson Chevrolet running in the 11th spot.
We know that the 13 of Johnny Sauter's been in a pretty big crash.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the field, as has several trucks that have fought their way back into contention. Ron Hornaday's currently running in the 5th spot. Check out Brian Eichler trying to get under one of our strong trucks from earlier in the race. Matt Crafton's truck's gone away a little bit on him, Phil.
Yeah, got to make sure that Brian Eichler doesn't get loose down here on the bottom when he's underneath underneath Matt Crafton, Adam.
And Matt Crafton has been complaining about the truck being very tight. He said he's moved all over the racetrack trying to help the handling of the truck, but it just gets slower. And now that slowness has resulted in a loss of a position. Brian Eichler flashing by on the inside, Ray.
Brian Eichler's teammate is Kyle Busch. Busch running in second right now, and he has said on the radio, I've got absolutely nothing for Colin Brown. I'm stuck right here. And he says he does make up a little bit of ground in 1 and 2, but then he gives it all back when he exits off of 4. Adam?
And it was was really funny on the radio a moment ago. If you'd been listening to Colin Brown, you would have loved it. Lauren Rainier, his spotter, said, "Don't nothing. You run your."
Well, a little technical difficulty there with Adam Alexander's radio. The microphone. We'll try to get what was said on the radio there.
See Colin Brown. Brian Eichler's gonna, looks like, finally complete that pass at Matt Crafton field. He used the 84 truck of Fontaine to make that move stick this time. He couldn't quite ever clear Crafton, but now is up in front of him and solidly in that third spot. You can see the leaders.
Yeah,
he can see the leaders up ahead, but he knows there isn't any catching them if the caution flag doesn't wave.
Yeah, Colin Brown right now is running about 0.3 of a second faster than Kyle Busch.
Adam, you want to try again?
I'm going to give it a shot. I thought maybe I said some kind of foul word and they bleeped me out there. They said don't let Kyle talk you into anything running in the second position. You run your line, hit your marks, and you will win this race. And right now, Colin Brown, less from 6 laps from accomplishing that goal.
Colin Brown on his way to winning his first ever Camping World Truck Series race. It's been quite a few races. He's been in contention a few times, like we talked about Lowe's Motor Speedway, the most recent, where it looked as though he was going to be solidly in position to battle for that win, and then got actually taken out by the 51.
And we know how much winning at this racetrack in the backyard of Detroit means to Jack Roush. We've seen it on his face when he's been fortunate enough to win here with Travis Kvapil. Last year, or 2 years ago.
Let's just throw the 50th one. He's won also on top of that, winning his 50th race right here in his own backyard.
The Camping World Truck Series has been good for Roush Fenway Racing. They have had success with so many different drivers. Greg Biffle won 16 races. Mark Martin has won 7. Carl Edwards won 6 in this series. Kurt Busch also won 4. Problems at the left rear of the 13 of Johnny Sauter. He's trying to hang on to it.
Got a left rear flat.
Right or left?
Man, you can see what a handful that is, Phil. He's just trying to get back to the pit. And going at that speed, though, he's going to tear the tread off that left rear tire, which could cause a caution.
There's a battle for 5th. Mike Skinner just got by Ron Hornaday for the 5th position.
That's an awful aggressive speed to be running there with a flat left rear tire.
He may even spin out at that speed. Look at him completely sideways.
Trying to hang on to it. I'm sure Kyle Busch is hoping that he would spin out. He's able to keep it down on the bottom of the racetrack on the apron. Now he's going to try to get onto pit road.
I believe he's going to make it without putting any debris on the racetrack, so Colin Brown's folks can breathe a sigh of relief.
Here was a great battle for 5th. Mike Skinner in front of Ron Hornaday.
Both these trucks with some pretty significant damage.
A lot of damage.
But still slugging it out here on the racetrack.
It is a prize fight for those 2 veterans.
Skinner takes away the 5th spot. That's a big deal, getting the top 5, and he just took it out of Ron Hornaday's hands, and now Hornaday's got to deal with Taylor Mawson and Timothy Peters, who are right up on his tailgate now.
Coming up on 2 laps to go for Colin Brown.
We've heard Kyle Busch say, "I've got nothing for that 6." There's Jack Roush on the left side of your screen. Again, could be the 50th win in the Camping World Truck Series for Jack Roush and his organization.
Just think about this Colin Brown kid, what he's accomplished lately. 2 out of the last 3 races has been in the lead when he's had trouble. Great runs for this guy.
And then he finished 3rd last week, which matched his career best. But 2 laps to go. Look at Taylor Mawson get by Ron Hornaday for the 6th spot.
Taylor Mawson up into the 6th position. A great run for that 81 team. Ron Hornaday, even with all the damage, still holding on to an 8th spot.
That Taylor Mawson has only been out of the top 15 1 time this entire season. Coming down for the white flag for Colin Brown. 1 more lap.
You have a couple slow ones up here, 1 anyway. One more time.
That's a relief right there. At least he knows if the caution flies, he's won the race. So he's got a big enough cushion over 2nd. He can just run 3/4 speed over this next lap and win this race. Getting the white flag was a big deal for that kid. We'd heard him talk earlier about his restarts. He didn't want to have to deal with that.
And he's not going to have a restart.
He's definitely changing history in the Camping World Truck Series at this racetrack. No one has ever started outside the top 10 or outside the top 11 and won this race. 12th, the starting position for Colin Brown. Can he bring it all the way home and all the way to victory lane?
coming out of turn number 4,
Brown,
the
you just won
final
you a
lap.
truck race, buddy.
There you go, buddy. Good job. Awesome, man. Way to go.
We said he could run that last lap 3/4 pace and still win the race. He was the fastest truck on the track by 3/10. He could taste that checker flag, couldn't he?
And how about Mike Beam? I mean, Mike Beam has been around with Mark Martin. He was around with Travis Cuomo. He was around when all these guys were winning these races in the truck, and that calm voice came on and said, Colin Brown, you just won a truck race.
He has so much confidence in Colin Brown. And conversely, Colin Brown knows that Mike Beam knows what to do. That's a great combination. There's Jack Roush. There's Hal, the team engineer. What a great job by these Roush Fenway guys. And again, we look at Jack. We know what it means to him to win here in Michigan.
Huge accomplishment for Roush Fenway to get back into victory lane at this very racetrack. It's the 5th time a Roush Fenway driver has won at this race in 10 races. So 50% of the races run have been won by Jack Roush and his teams.
Man, that's a relief off that kid's shoulders. We've seen him have the speed to win, and he finally gets it done. That's just a relief when you get that first win.
I told you we win one.
Colin Brown joins Johnny Benson as far as getting their first win at Michigan International Speedway. And with team owner is Adam Alexander.
He no doubt knows what it's like to win, but he never takes it for granted. Jack, congratulations on number 50, and you're able to do it in your backyard.
Yeah, it's great to do it here with Ford Motor Company in their backyard, you know, and an F-150. It was just awesome. You know, we've got a lot of folks here, a lot of Roush Industries people, a lot of our vendors, a lot of our customers are here, and it's just great to be in front of the home crowd. B-25 from the Yankee Air Force flew over to start the thing today, so this is my turf.
Go celebrate.
Thank you.
Off to victory lane, Jack Roush will go. And Colin Brown will be making his first trip into victory lane in the Camping World Truck Series. We knew it was only a matter of time.
Yeah, Mom and Dad are here with him to enjoy this first victory here in NASCAR for Colin Brown.
Listen to some of these names in the top 10. You got Brown winning, Eichler's 3rd, Awesome 6th, Peters 8th. I just love the diversity we have up at the front. You got the old guys and you got the young guys, and either one of them can win on any Saturday.
The emotions running very high in the Roush Fenway organization. And how about Jack Roush? Watching Colin Brown get his first win in the Camping World Truck Series. We'll be back and hear from him at Victory Lane next on Speed. Welcome back. Colin Brown celebrating in victory lane for the first time in his young career in the Camping World Truck Series. Let's hear from him. We go down to victory lane.
It is one of the best places to be, in victory lane with a first-time NASCAR winner. Colin Brown, welcome to the fraternity. You have won a race, and you did it right here where there is so much on the line for Roush Fenway Racing. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, these guys did an awesome job. This win was more about them and the hard work they put back at the shop to get this truck together. I mean, those guys worked their butts off getting this truck back together. Really fast truck. You know, it's so cool to win here, being the 3rd guy, I guess, or the 3rd straight guy to win here for Roush Fenway, getting their 50th win. You know, these guys did a heck of a job. Thanks to all the fans for being out here. And, man, I love this racetrack. That was awesome.
Did you wonder when it was going to happen? Because you've had so many things that have gone wrong for you last year, this year, and now to have everything come together. How does that feel?
Oh, it's awesome. You know, these guys have worked so hard, and we've been close to the last couple races. You know, obviously had the problem with Charlotte Tire going down at Dover, so we've been close. We had good runs. We've had awesome trucks. My crew chief, Mike Beam, and my engineer, Hal, those guys done an awesome job giving me fast trucks. And I just get to be the lucky guy that gets to go out there and hold it wide open and drive around. And luckily, Kyle got a little botched up in traffic there. We could get around him. But, you know, big thanks to Jack Roush for sticking with me. Obviously, we had a bit of a tough year so far, but I know we're on a roll now.
Were your fingers crossed as Mike Skinner, the veteran, comes over for some congratulations?
I told you. Yeah, you told me. Good job. Thanks.
How concerned were you we'd see a caution in the closing laps and you would have to go through another restart with Kyle behind you?
Man, I was worried. You know, I struggle on restarts. I got a lot to learn getting my restarts better, but you know, it's great to have Roush Yates' power. You know, once we got going, we could stay with him, and I feel like, I don't know if we would have beat him there at the end, but we were pretty close, and man, it was a great race though.
Number 50 for the boss, number 1 for you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Adam.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, the fastest truck doesn't always win the race. That's certainly the case again today, Kyle.
always the case with me, right? Unfortunate, you know, there we had a lap truck that couldn't hold his line. I tried to go low. There was a lane there. When we went into the corner, it closed up. My fault there, and screwed up. That was a pass for the lead. That was the win. You know, whoever got out front, it seemed to be was able to hold it. So very frustrating for us to finish second once again. But the Miccosukee Tundra was awesome. Thank Doug and the guys. Best it's ever been here at Michigan. And you know, now we'll take it and go on into Kentucky and finish second there.
Go win one, will you? Kyle Busch finishes second.
Celebration in victory lane continuing. What a great opportunity. The family here with Colin Brown, mom and dad giving him the hug. Finally in victory lane. He's been so close. And Jack Roush, team owner, celebrating right alongside. It took him 35 starts to get there, but Colin Brown makes it to victory lane. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Ford. The Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150. By Z-Max, performance you could feel. And by Just for Men. Stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. Victory lane celebration continues. It's the first time for young Colin Brown. He celebrates with crew chief right there to his left, Mike Beam. And now let's go to third place, Brian Eichler. He's with Ray Dunlap.
And Rick, it's a career best finish for Brian Eichler. Congratulations. How good was your truck today?
It's pretty good. We started off a little free in the Samsung Instinct Toyota, come down and tighten up a little bit, and just never get it, you know, tight enough to really run around here wide open. So, but we're all excited and a ton of momentum for next week.
Okay, a couple of good days now. What are you doing next?
I'll be back in the 51 next week at Milwaukee.
Okay. Good luck to you. That is Brian Eichler, and of course, on Monday he's going to go test Kyle Busch's late model for him.
Well, let's take a look at tonight's Stay in the Game with Just for Men hair color moment. And you've got to point the finger, I would say, at Ron Hornaday staying in the game.
He's trouble started yesterday in practice. Has a flat tire, spins out here, has to fortunately make his way to pit road without any damage.
And you know, the race started today, and he didn't have a fast truck. He was falling back through the field, eventually has a right front tire go flat here, gets to pit road, gets the tire changed, only to come back out on the track and be in the middle of a big wreck.
A huge wreck. Here's right here, Chad McCumbee. They make contact. Hornaday gets run into from behind by Stacy Compton. Has to come to pit road for a tremendous amount of repairs, and he gets back on the racetrack and ends up finishing 7th, Rick.
That is definitely staying in the game. Stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. Ray Dunlap is with Mike Skinner.
Well, Mike, tell me about your day. It was fairly eventful out there.
You know, Ray, you rarely ever hear me say I should have won, but our Tundra was awesome yesterday in practice, and it was awesome when that race started. I was just biding my time and trying to kind of stay away from the weapons and trying to be smart for once. But it wasn't meant to be. A truck got spun in front of us, and we hit him and tore our Tundra all up. But just want to thank Exide and Toyota and Brooklyn Products, a Brooklyn company up here, for jumping on the back of that truck and helping us out today.
And tell me about the big picture here. You know, I mean, to come back and get a 5th place out of that day, you got to be pretty happy with.
Well, you know, when you have when you have bad days and you can finish in the top 10 like we did at Texas, that's what it's made of. And you know, the 88 seems to be awfully good, and you know, Ron was tore up again, and we were tore up, and I had the most fun racing Ron Hornaday. As bad as both of our trucks were, we should have been racing for 19th and 20th instead of 5th and 6th. But we had a good time. Taylor Molson did a wonderful job in the 180 truck.
All right, congratulations, a 5th place finish for Mike Skinner today here at Michigan.
Well, let's take a look at today's Advance Auto Parts save of the race, and you've got to go back to this save by Mike Skinner.
Oh, check this out. There's no way he can fit under him running 160 miles an hour. He can't turn to the left and get under that truck of David Starr. You have to go high.
And he can't see him either because of the smoke.
And when he comes out the other end, he says, man, that wasn't so bad.
He sees blue sky. There's his onboard right there. Right dead in front of all the smoke. And then when it clears, got a clean racetrack.
Colin Brown, big smile on his face. because he's got the trophy in his hand. Winning the Michigan 200 at Michigan International Speedway. Want to take a look at our unofficial results from today's race. It was Colin Brown out front. There's your point standings. Matt Crafton, 39 in front of Ron Hornaday. Even a difficult day for Hornaday.
What a great championship battle we have there. Skinner's crept right into there. Look at those names up at the top. Guys who know how to win this championship.
Yeah, 4 drivers are within 97 points right now. Great battle, as always, in a Camping World Truck Series.
Now let's take a look at those unofficial results from this race. Colin Brown again getting the win. Kyle Busch finishes second. His teammate Brian Eichler finishing third.
As you said, I love the names on this list. Taylor Mawson with a career best. Timothy Peters, first time for Red Horse Racing. He comes home with an 8th place finish.
13 end up on the lead lap. Todd Bodine 13th.
Didn't have to go back but to the 3rd spot to find somebody that had a wreck. And then 5th, 6th, all those guys were involved in stuff that made their days long, but they were able to persevere through it.
Yeah, James Busher and Brian Scott, 33rd and 34th. Tough points days for both of those drivers. Let's go to Adam Alexander.
And Matt Crafton finished second last week at Texas. You said you would have given up the point lead for the win. Today you're 4th, and these are the kinds of runs you need if you're going to win a championship, my man.
Yeah, it's definitely the runs we need. I mean, it's just a shame. We've had such a good truck the last 2 weeks in a row. And today, I mean, it was just all our fault. I mean, we just got behind on our changes. Track changed a good bit from yesterday. The sun was out when we practiced and cooled down so much. Track tightened. I mean, it seemed to me tightened up quite a bit. And we were off on it a little bit, and we chased it all day and we missed it. But, I mean, all in all, it's a good point to stay and keep our heads up and go to Milwaukee and see what we can do there.
When you can be off and finish 4th, that is good. Crafton the point leader as we head to Milwaukee.
Colin Brown, he's like, all right, anybody else want to get a picture with me? I'm having fun right here. I don't want to leave victory lane.
Who wants to talk to me?
Yeah.
Everybody else left. The truck's gone. All his crew's gone. But what a great, there's some Conway folks. There are a lot of Conway folks in attendance today for this big win.
Y'all gather around and take a picture with me.
The B-25 flying over. It's the Milwaukee Mile, the next stop for the Camping World Truck Series in the Copart 200. That's Friday. Coming up for the Camping World Truck Series. Coming up here on Speed, 24 hours of Le Mans. As a matter of fact, bonus coverage you'll be able to see right after the commercial break. Thanks for joining us once again here on Speed for the Camping World Truck Series. Colin Brown wins at Michigan.
Next week, the closest point battle in NASCAR takes to the short track. See who will come out on top after 200 miles of bumping and banging at the Milwaukee Mile. Catch the setup at 8:30, followed by nighttime short track racing from Milwaukee, live on Speed. Be there.